Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations and Plugs. Good to have you all here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wago Joy. Welcome. We noticed that a lot of you are watching and not subscribing, and we'd love for you to subscribe so that you can be aware of what's happening within our community. So please subscribe down below. And Karibu.
Yeah,
Cliff, over to you.
I need to remember to always say my name, Cliff. Yes, I'm Cliff, guys,
Cliff.
by now. And today we're excited to have Maria Nkumba. And I've just gone straight to the name because you are so many things. Let's experience her today. She owns a business called Experia.
Correct.
All right. And I think we'll just dive into it. And so welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start today? Because I know there's a lot.
Where do you want to start? I know.
When did you decide to start Experia, and how did that come about?
Wow. So I decided to start Experia in December of 2018.
18. Okay. Yeah.
We're just on a holiday with my family, and I just sat with my sister and my mother, and I'm like, I feel like I'm ready to start my own business.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what that meant.
Oh.
But it just felt like it was the time.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started.
Okay.
The idea in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So usually something spurs people on to start something.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, I think, talking to a lot of entrepreneurs on this podcast, we realize everything is connected.
Absolutely.
So what spurred you on? Like what put that fire up yours to start? Like what happened?
Wow.
Or what were you thinking? Or
so for me it was different things.
And what is Experia, by the way?
What is Experia?
Yeah.
So Experia, first of all, I derived it from the word experience.
Oh, okay.
I'm a lover of everything events.
Oh, okay.
It's been my passion ever since. I want to say really ever since I was young.
Yeah.
But I always, looking back, I always feel like my late brother is one who made me realize like that's my passion.
Oh, yeah.
Because he would always have like parties in his house. That time I was younger, straight from high school. But I'd always find myself wanting to plan them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily knowing what I'm really doing.
Yeah.
But I loved it. Like I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And he loved hosting as well.
Yeah.
So Experia for me it's my passion.
Okay.
Right?
It's who you are.
It's who I am.
Okay.
Exactly. It's who I am. And yes, I started it not necessarily knowing what I'm growing it to be.
Okay.
So it's been a journey.
Okay.
Even if I knew who I am, it's still been a journey of self-discovery into leadership, entrepreneur, everything encompassing what a business, brings along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back.
Okay.
To where it all started. So you're sitting and thinking, I want to start a business.
Yeah.
What's spurring you on at this point in time?
So at that point in time,
what's happening in your life?
Yeah, what's happening in your life at that time?
At that time, I had already been in an agency for 6 years.
Okay.
And before that, I had been in another agency for 3 years. So I had almost like 9 years of experience, right, in the events PR space.
So you were working before?
I was working before.
Okay.
Yeah, for 9 years.
Okay.
So I had, I want to say I had a wealth of experience in the event space.
Who had you worked with before?
So I'd worked with I started my career at Junadine Corporate Communications.
Yeah.
The mother.
Yeah.
Of PR.
It's like Junadine babies.
Her DNA is everywhere.
Listen, everywhere. And honestly, like I tell people, I don't think even in this industry, you could have gotten any better experience. I don't know, like the deep dive, of the PR world, the media world, and the events world from a corporate perspective.
Correct.
That's where it was at.
Yeah.
And you're young, you're hungry.
Yeah.
There's this whole world that is exposed to you. You're handling your likes of Safaricom, Kenya Airways, KCB.
Yeah.
These are the big boys in the industry, right?
Yeah.
So the level of expertise, the level of professionalism,
Yeah.
the level of excellence was very different.
Yeah.
You know, like it was top notch.
Yeah.
There was no time to, be mediocre.
Yeah.
It had to
I
be
mean, I think
excellence
it
or not.
shows. I think I've interacted with a couple of women or
Yeah.
ladies who worked at Jinadin, and there's a
Yeah.
certain
It's
work
excellence.
ethic. There's
Exactly. Absolutely.
okay. So 9
Yeah.
years. So after 9 years.
Yeah. So
yeah.
after 9 years, by then I had handled a lot of different corporate events and organizations and
Yeah.
worked with a couple of
Yeah.
big corporates. So I understood what's required,
Yeah.
right? From an events perspective, be it a football tournament,
Yeah.
be it a launch, be it a conference. I had been able to, get a bit of all those touch points
Yeah.
in my career.
Yeah.
So by this time, I remember I told my family, I'm like, I feel like I'm ready
Yeah.
to start my own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I just feel it in me.
Yeah.
So this was 2018, now into 2019. And I went back to work in January.
Mm.
And a month later, I resigned.
Yeah.
And another month later, I was out in the streets
Yeah.
starting my own company, not really knowing what I'm getting myself into, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had so much faith.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's how it all began.
I find it interesting, and why this conversation is very interesting for me is because you are capable of, you had the capacity, you already knew you had the capacity. You
Yeah.
had been tested in the marketplace,
Yeah,
and you already sharpened your skill.
absolutely.
However, you were clear that your salary isn't what, I remember we were having a conversation where you said what you were getting monthly
Yeah.
versus what you were bringing in.
It was not adding up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And a lot of people in the marketplace are there where
Yeah.
they are we call them entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You're already you're running somebody else's business.
Yeah.
And now you're like, maybe
Wait a minute.
I could, maybe
Yeah.
I should. And that's why this leap of faith is so important. And this is why this
Absolutely.
conversation needs to happen.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many people in the market, like just working, not understanding that they actually have the ability
To do it for themselves.
yeah, and test
Yeah.
themselves in the market.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I feel like you've actually hit the nail on the head. Like, I feel like it's more of self-doubt
Yeah.
more than anything else, and lack of self-belief
Mm.
that you can actually step out and
A constant paycheck.
exactly. I think it's also that
security.
comfort,
Yeah.
the security that it comes with it.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, you can't compare being employed and being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Like, it's very different. You know,
Yeah.
like you're sure every month there's a paycheck coming. As an entrepreneur,
Every month, by the third week, you're
exactly.
like,
You're like, that's me now this week. I was like, oh God, next week is end month. Okay. Payroll is here, So you have people depending on you.
Yeah.
Families.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge, it's a big burden, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And you don't also want it to be on you that you can't be able to accomplish that.
Yeah.
For those who are also giving of themselves,
Yeah.
for the sake of your business, for the growth of your business.
Yeah.
So what I would say is, I've also gotten to a point where I believe entrepreneurship is not also for the faint-hearted. It takes a lot of you as a person, as an individual, to say, you know what, come and buy. But let's do this.
Yes.
Twende too.
Yeah.
Let's do
a
this.
certain level of insanity.
Insanity.
Okay.
I don't think it's a certain level. It's a very high level of insanity.
Yeah.
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 But you must have that
Yeah.
to just be an entrepreneur.
You work in a very interesting space in events.
Yeah.
And I remember we had one of our guests talking about how COVID taught him some serious lessons around diversification.
Ah.
What did COVID do for you? Because I think we are now in 2018, 2019.
2019, yes.
And now we're entering 2020. And 2020 is when you're starting your business?
No, 2019 March
2019 March.
is when I started my business.
And how did that go? I mean, up to 2020. And then what happened? Because if you're in the event space, I'm assuming quite a lot happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that always sends chills down my...
Oh, yeah?
Oof, yes. So 2019, of course, when you're starting a new business, the first year you're just canvassing in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Getting your name out there.
Market product fit, trying to figure out what
Exactly.
am I offering?
What exactly do I want to focus on in this space?
Yeah.
Because it's broad, right? Doing events for free.
Oh, wow.
Just to build your portfolio, because you need to have a profile that shows you've done some work for someone, right?
Yeah.
And especially not now from an employment perspective, but from a business perspective, right?
Yeah.
It also entailed, putting together events for some clients and them not ever paying you.
Okay.
Still part of the experience. You learn as you go.
Yeah.
So those are some of our experiences in 2019.
Yeah.
So as 2020 came in, we were very sure, like, it's game time.
Systems go.
All systems go. So we started pitching for new business. We're confident. We're like, okay, I want to get into the conferencing space. That's my strength. That's my forte. That's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So, and somehow, when the world just, the universe just collides when you manifest something. Like I started getting, what is it called? Referrals.
Yeah.
Like, there's this conference coming up. Would you like to apply for it? I'm like, yeah, for sure. So I applied for about 3 conferences, which were coming in 2020.
In Kenya?
In Kenya, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all in Kenya. And true to say that we actually got all 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, on merit.
Okay.
One was actually an international one. The first one was an international one, which was in March. And also true to say that we never got to execute any of them. Thanks to COVID.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So for me, that was the COVID season.
Yeah.
Like, Mutahi Kagwe spoke that day and shut the country.
Yeah.
And literally, like, it's like our world just shut.
Yeah.
Indefinitely.
Yeah, indefinitely. And for me, it's such a vivid memory because I still remember I was literally standing in my living room on a Saturday morning or a Friday, one of the two. But I was just getting ready to leave and go to the venue for the setup, which had already begun.
This is for the international client?
This is for the international client.
Okay.
It was a Saturday.
It was a Saturday. Exactly.
I remember.
So my client was already here from Germany. I had met her the day before at the venue. We had walked through everything. We had delegates coming in from different parts of the world. All their tickets were booked. We had verified. Done. Yeah. And then
fellow Kenyans.
Yeah. And oh my God, I still can't describe that feeling to date. But that was COVID for us. That's how, like, everything just became like a blur. And the questioning started after a while. You're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
This was not the plan.
Yeah.
The plan was all systems go, like, to build a business from 2020 onwards.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like that's what's happening, Yeah. So that was how our COVID season began.
And so this is 2019, you're venturing
this is 2020.
out 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, 2019 is when it started. So are you venturing out by yourself or?
No, so I'd ventured out with a partner.
Oh, okay.
For I think for about 2-3 years.
Yeah.
We sort of built the business together.
Yeah.
and then his family had to relocate to another country.
Yeah.
So of course there are also those dynamics, which you also have to sit down and just discuss and be like, you know what, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Things are not working as we had planned. Yeah.
I remember when we met you, you had a very interesting story around how Maria Nkumba is, you're both born, you're an East African citizen. I've heard you saying that.
Mhm.
An omelette.
An omelette.
An omelette? I love it.
Yeah. So what's that about? Like, that's you growing up. And I know you say you don't come from privilege, and I've heard you say that as well. So what's your story like? Where you growing up? Your parents, your influences.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I love calling myself the daughter of the mountains.
Oh yeah.
Murema.
Morema, proper Morema.
Oh yeah.
So and for me it's because I like literally my forefathers or my grandparents literally hail from all the 3 mountains in East Africa.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Wow.
So my mother is from Mount Kenya,
On Kenya.
right?
Okay. That's Kiambu or
Muranga.
Okay.
Kangema.
Kangema.
Yes.
Okay.
And then my father comes from 2 mountains. So that's a Rwenzori
Rwenzori. Okay.
in
That's
Uganda.
Uganda.
And the Virunga Mountains
Rwanda.
in Rwanda,
Yeah.
in Ruhengeri.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I'm
A true mountain
I'm
babe.
a true mountain babe.
Yeah.
But don't tell me to hike, please. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it ends.
Yeah.
So how is
Yeah.
growing up for you? How is childhood and
Yeah. So wow. For us, we had a really interesting childhood. Because we actually grew up in Muranga.
okay.
My mom was a teacher,
Oh,
was a principal.
a principal.
Yes.
Okay. Which school?
Mumbi Girls
Okay.
in Muranga town.
Okay.
So we literally grew up in the school.
Oh.
Yeah,
all
like
right.
you know.
How
and the
many were you?
principal-
How many siblings?
So we were 3 siblings.
Okay. So
Uh,
inside the school.
inside the school
Or as a principal.
as
of
a
course.
principal.
Yeah.
So we are living in the principal's house, and we are the principal's children.
Of course. Yeah.
And of course, at least we had a couple of privileges of at least having a car to take us to school.
Yeah.
But then, you know, looking at our other schoolmates and seeing how everyone is walking home from school, sometimes we'll tell my mom, no, we don't want to be picked up. We just want to walk home
Yeah.
with everyone
Oh,
else,
yeah.
you know? So we had I believe we really had a fantastic childhood. You know,
Absolutely, yeah.
growing up in the village, you're like one community. You're all visiting each other. You're riding bikes together. You're going to climb trees together. You're going to milk the cows. You know, like after school. It was a very holistic childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we grew up in Muranga. My dad lived in Muranga as well
Okay.
for a while. And then, of course, he had to go back to his country.
Which one?
Okay, Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah, there was a time when a lot of the Ugandans and Rwandese were in Kenya, who had come to Kenya like in the 70s, 80s.
Okay.
After, at some point, they were all recalled back to go and start rebuilding their own countries.
Oh.
So that's how my dad ended up going back to Uganda.
Okay.
So growing up, we were literally between Muranga and Uganda. So during the holidays, we'll all be ferried to
you moved from
Uganda.
From
Muranga
to Uganda.
To Uganda.
Where
by
exactly?
Akamba.
Yes,
Please.
Akamba.
Yes, Akamba bus, if you remember.
Yes.
Before Ugandan Airlines came into
of
the
course.
market.
Yes.
Yeah. So my mom would literally pack us up. We'd sleep in Nakuru.
Yeah.
And then wake up the next morning and then continue the journey.
And your dad is from Uganda, where exactly?
My dad is from Fort Portal.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The northern part
the
of
northern
Uganda.
part. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but he lived in Kampala.
Okay.
So would also, again, at least we had the privilege of going to visit my grandmother in Fort Portal.
Yeah.
And also spend some time with my dad in Uganda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very experiential childhood.
Very.
And I'm seeing things.
Yeah.
And I feel that when I look at your life and when I've spoken to you, I was cutting a paper because I just got this illusion in my mind. a lot of times, because you said this is what you're doing, it's a passion. You're actually monetizing your passion.
Yeah.
But your passion has been birthed through a journey.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes as your entrepreneurship journey is starting, it's just this. And then it becomes this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes this. Then it just becomes a full. Then you get to see the full picture.
Absolutely, yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. And so I know that there are different pieces of you along the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So we've pivoted. Now we're in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Life is just like, you don't even know what is happening. March has gone by. We're now in September. Do you even have a paycheck?
No.
Money's coming from nowhere.
Nowhere.
So what keeps the hope alive at that point?
Absolutely nowhere.
What keeps the passion alive?
Wow. Okay. So I think for me, it's a couple of things at that point. First, I had a daughter to raise and to take care of.
She's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. But this time she's 6 years.
Okay.
And you have to homeschool her. And I'm like, God, I'm not a teacher. My mother was a teacher. And I'm like, God, how do I do this? But at that moment, I still remember, like, that's the one thing that gave me purpose at that time.
Okay.
Because I'm like, this has to be done. My child can't stop learning. It's the only control I have right now, right? I can't control what's happening with the world.
Yeah.
But I can control this because now it's on me as a parent to do it, right? So I became literally like a full-time teacher. Like I would sit with her from morning to evening through the classes. We have a break. We go back. She finishes at 3 p.m. I give her a break. That's the time I go to make, our dinner for the evening. Because remember now it's COVID season. There's no nanny, there's no help.
Yeah.
So I'm literally like doing everything in the house, right? And of course with the help of my mother who we used to live with back then. So at that point, for me, that's what kept going. But I think for me, more than anything else, it was the faith. It was the hope. I don't know if I'm making sense. It's, faith is believing in what is unseen, right? Like I still knew, I was like, this can't be it. Like there must be more.
Okay.
I don't know when, but I feel like there's still more to come. Sometime, somehow, somewhere. And for me, or rather for our family, we grew up in a very staunch Catholic home.
Okay.
And my mother, I don't think there's anything else she believes in more than prayer.
Yeah.
Right? And I found myself just holding on to that. Like it's the only thing I could hold on to. And that's what kept the hope alive for me during that season. Literally. Like it was either I'm homeschooling my daughter or I'm in church. Just sitting there and just having literally a conversation with God and telling him to just plug me. Did you just feel the plug?
Yeah. Hey, I see.
Plug me with the future.
Yeah.
And just, and just give me a glimpse. Like, tell me, like, is there, like...
Give me a sign.
Give me a sign. Like, is there something that's coming?
Yeah.
Like, that's all I could hold on to. Because there was no paycheck. I didn't have another fallback plan. I had not done anything else apart from this is all I knew.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Events and planning and gatherings and bringing people together. And apart from that, then it's motherhood. Right?
Yeah.
That was all I could hold on to.
I think we talked to you a bit earlier, and one of the things you were saying, we picked up is it wasn't all smooth sailing.
No.
Who you are right now is a culmination of
Many
some interesting events in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I think there was one where there was around serendipity. Because I think your business is based off of both Kenya, Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rwanda. Kenya and Rwanda.
Yeah.
So what's the story around that? Like, how does it come to be? Because I know it's a deep story of chances and opportunity and you just being in the right place
at the right time.
Yeah. I also would like to add that it's the excellence is still at play.
Yeah.
Because I believe excellence is showing up and doing your best in any circumstance.
Yeah.
And you kept showing up. Even in the homeschooling, you did show up.
I did.
You know, and in the waiting, you did show up.
Yeah.
So that excellence still translates across the board. But go ahead. I just,
No.
Oh, it's so interesting. Wango, you just said that. I didn't think about it that way before. Like, I still showed up. Even in the pain.
Yes.
And the suffering and the uncertainty. Oh, thanks for that. Yeah. So how did that come to play? So first I must say, my dad believed I was supposed to be a business person.
Okay.
But it didn't make sense to me.
How so?
So for him, it was very business oriented.
Okay.
And it so happens I take a lot after him.
Okay.
And I didn't realize this actually until his death.
Oh.
I didn't.
Okay.
But of course, I grew up seeing him starting all these businesses and taking the risks and not being scared.
Yeah.
You know, there was no, I never felt like my dad had that fear element of gaining and losing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like he was always willing to go for it. And even if things didn't work out, he was willing to try again.
Yeah.
That was my dad. And I remember the first time when he ever told me, he's like, you should consider coming and opening something in Rwanda. That was in 2012, December.
Okay.
I had gone to visit him. And I'm like, starting how? Where? He's like, but I'm here. I have connections. I know people. It'll be easy. I'm like, okay, let me think about it. And coincidentally, I don't know if it was a coincidence, I happened to meet a Kenyan company that was considering opening up in Rwanda.
Yeah.
That same time in Rwanda. And this person didn't know I was half Rwandese, and he got so excited and was like, oh, would you actually consider moving back to Rwanda? I'm like, actually, I would. Why not? Again, I think it's that little insanity in me. Yeah, it still keeps following me. And that's how I actually ended up resigning in 2013 from Gina Dean.
Okay.
And the initial plan was to move to Rwanda.
Oh.
Yes. But of course, things just didn't work out and things didn't fall into place as we had thought they would. And then that's when, of course, I discovered I was pregnant with my daughter the same year.
Okay. That's 2013.
That's 2013. So it didn't make sense for me now to make this move, right? But that's how far back my dad started pushing me into getting into Rwanda.
Yeah.
Only for it to now come to fruition in 2022.
Okay. Oh, that's
literally like
2 years ago.
10 years. Yeah, that's literally like 10 years after my dad wanted me to make the move.
It's so crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Right? And so now 2021, unfortunately, my dad falls sick.
Yeah.
And it's a whole journey that you go through that whole year. But it's one of those journeys that I say was preparing my family to the next. I don't know if that makes sense, right? It's where you fully give of yourself to take care of, to take care of your father without knowing what that will bring in the future.
Yeah.
It's that verse of honor your father and your mother.
Yeah. So that's what you were doing, honoring your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry, I like every time I think about it, it's very teary for me, but
sorry. Yeah.
It's now looking back and saying, oh my God, are these the seeds we planted?
Yeah.
And now they're coming, they're now bearing fruit, right? And that's how we ended up going to Rwanda. So after his death, a lot of his friends and family couldn't drive down to Uganda for the funeral because at that point there was a border issue between Uganda and Rwanda. So they were like, no. We know we didn't come down for the funeral, but we still have to honor Franco.
Yeah.
You guys have to come down to Rwanda.
Yeah.
And we go to Rwanda, and the golf fraternity planned this amazing golf tournament in his honor. And we even plant a tree in his honor. So every time I go to Rwanda, I have to go and see how big it's grown.
Oh.
And I go and I make sure I water it. And then I end up meeting this person who happens to just open that door for me, and unknowingly.
And what did you have at this time? Nothing or?
Nothing.
This
Like
is 20...
nothing. This is 2022.
Oh, okay.
Because now we've gone through the journey of COVID, of my dad's sickness.
Business is gone.
Business is gone. And now I've come back home in 2022, January. And I remember asking God, I'm like, okay.
When
now
you say
I'm
come
here
back home, you're...
From burying my dad.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now in January of 2022.
Yeah.
And I'm back home now. I still remember the 26th of January. And I'm asking God, okay, now I'm here. Where do I start?
Yeah.
Like, what next? I have no clue.
Yeah.
But I still know my passion is still in me. Like, I'm still sure this is what I want to do. I still want to be in this space. I still want to grow Experia. There's still hope.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so we go to Rwanda for the Memorial weekend. And I bump into this, not bump, he was actually our host for the event, for my dad's golf tournament. And we're just having a conversation. I'm like, so what do you actually do? I had never met him before. And he tells me, of course, he runs different businesses, but he actually has an events company. I'm like, oh, what is it called? So he tells me the name. I'm like, oh, I think I know one of your partners. He's like, really? How? I'm like, I worked with her 11, 12 years ago back in Kenya.
Yeah.
And she's one of the women who I always looked up to in our industry.
Okay.
Because of her work ethic, her excellence, and everything she stood by. She's called Valentine Ashipai.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she a Gina Dean baby?
No, she's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she was fantastic. And back then she used to work at Homeboys when I was at Gina Dean. So we
Okay.
did a lot of projects together.
Okay.
And I always give this example of how this time we're in Eldoret, in the heart of LD. And we were doing we are having a concert, the Safaricom Kenya Live concert.
Yeah.
And Homeboys are the ones who are setting up. And Valentine at this point, I think, was about 7-8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's raining. And she's in gumboots.
Oof.
But she's working like crazy. And I was like, I want to be like that one day. You know, by this time, I'm just like a newbie in the agency. And you're just running the ropes as you go, you know. So that picture has never left my mind all those years. So only for now, our host to plan a meetup, like a reconnection now, because I had never seen her since she moved back to Rwanda. And we reconnected over dinner that weekend. And we had a fantastic conversation. And then she asked me what I do, and I tell her I'm still in the event space, but I mean, COVID, just getting back, figuring things out. And then I tell her, you know what, whenever you have an opportunity in Rwanda, I'm happy to just come and plug in and just see how you guys run things in this side of the world. And she's like, yeah, of course, absolutely, I'll let you know. You know, and I come back home, and now I'm refining my company profile, you know, figuring out now, where do I start? What do I do? You know, do I start knocking on doors? You know, what do I do? Then a month later, she actually reaches out and she tells me, I have something coming up in Rwanda. Would you be interested to come? I'm like, yes. Do I need to pay for the ticket now? Like, I'm ready, you know. And for me, it was the readiness of just to get back into the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just to work again. Like, I had not had that adrenaline rush and that, you know, insanity and that level of in so long. Like, I really just wanted it. So I go to Rwanda, and she literally throws me in the deep end. I remember sitting there one day at the convention center, and she seated there and I'm seated here, and the clients are here, and she opens up her laptop and she tells me she's working, and she's like, have you ever done a production script before? I'm like, no. She's like, okay, I'm doing for you the first sample, then you do for the whole conference. I'm like, what?
How many days was the conference?
3 days.
Ooh, okay.
With multiple You know
Yeah.
our conferences,
Yes.
multiple breakout sessions and
Yeah.
panel sessions and all this. And it's an international conference, right? And I'm like, oh my God.
And it's a minute by minute play of the entire
A
3
minute
days.
per minute playoff
Yeah.
of the entire 3 days. And I have to work on that and then disseminate the information to the other project managers who are handling all the other different rooms and ensure they have all the presentations, all the materials. They know the number of panelists on the stage and how many chairs are required and how many mic. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
But the level of satisfaction after that event is I can't describe it. Like
Yeah.
it was a
You
feeling.
got back in the game.
I got back in the game
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And she came back and she was like, listen, oof, I think we got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're now ready for the next big one. And I went back for the next big one in June.
Yeah.
And this was the Commonwealth Heads of Government meetings. CHOGM.
Yeah.
2022. Where all the heads of states were coming in. And
Plus all their people.
Yeah. And Prince Charles. I don't know, and Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Anyone, the who's who you can think of.
In the Commonwealth, yeah.
In the Commonwealth were all there. And I'm now in this space. And again,
so you're helping
I'm running
her,
the program.
You're running the program.
Yes, for
production.
the production now for some of the events, because there are multiple events happening everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So I'm in this room and I'm doing my thing, and then I happen to see an ex-colleague who we used to work with before, Ajina Dean, and he's there with now the organization now he's working for, and he looks at me, he's like, Maria, what are you doing here? And you've been told to look for him. I'm like, yeah. I asked him, do I look like I'm a delegate?
Yeah.
Do I look like I'm one of you? I'm like, no, I'm here working.
Yeah.
By that time, I'm exhausted. I think I've clicked like 20,000 steps for the day and I'm done, you know?
Yeah.
But here comes now the moderator, and I have to brief them and take them through the program, what's happening the next day, because it was now the opening ceremony the next day, and handle the full scope.
Yeah.
Right? And then all this. So I'm doing my thing. I'm just working, like I'm just doing what I know best.
Yeah.
Without knowing there's someone watching, right? What I'm doing. And that's what I tell people today. I'm like, listen, even my team, I'm like, work as if
no one is watching.
No one is watching.
Yeah.
But do your best, because you don't know who is watching.
Yeah.
You have no idea. And for me, I'd always had that as if it was just a story. I had never experienced it from my own, my own life story until that happened. And I come back home and this guy calls me and he's like, are you back? I'm like, yes, I'm back. Please come to the office and let's have a chat, And he's like, listen, I want you to start running our events. This is now July. So I want you to start running our events from August to December.
Yeah.
Let's see how that goes. Then if you're able to manage, then we're happy to renew the contract.
Yeah.
He's like, we're not even pitching for this business. I saw what you did. Just come.
And this is a big client?
This is a big client.
Okay.
It's a big client. It's an international client.
Okay.
And so, that's literally how I got back in the game. Just like that.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel it's a lot of things that added up to that. It's being in the right place at the right time. It's still showing up even when it didn't make sense. It's still holding on to the hope that something bigger is still meant to come. For me, it still feels like also my dad has a lot to play in, a lot of play in it.
Wherever he is. Yeah.
Wherever he is.
Yeah.
He planted seeds.
And so it's literally been one thing leading to another. And just taking that step each and every day and knowing there's something better coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
And just holding on to that belief. For me, that's what I hold on to every day. I'm like, yes, even now, I feel like business has been slow, but I'm like, you know what? There's still something better coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I got back in the game.
And so I love that very much. And so how is the business doing? How are you building the business? What do you see ahead? I know you're also passionate about Africa, and given already
absolutely,
you're already in Kenya and Rwanda, and looking to expand across Africa. How is that looking for you? And how is business shaping up?
So as I started by saying, this was my passion.
Yeah,
I never thought I would have a full-blown business. And up until last year, when now my client gave me a 3-year contract.
Okay.
And I was like, okay.
And these are not small contracts.
They're not.
Yeah. I mean, they require a lot of you, and and you can't be a one-man show.
Yeah.
You need a team.
Yeah.
And I had to now start hiring on need basis.
Yeah.
Right. And before I knew it, I now have a team of 8.
Okay.
Full time.
Yeah.
And also before I realized it, and again, this is the other thing. I just happen to have women working for me.
Yeah.
I just have 2 men working for me. That's my accountant and the office driver.
Okay.
Everyone else is a woman.
Yeah.
So I also feel I'm very much led towards the women's space and just that whole, what is it called? Inspiring and mentoring the women of the next generation, especially in our industry.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to build a team. Gradually, I've been able to form systems in the business as well. Things like accounting.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Like,
especially in your industry.
Especially in our industry, like you have to get your books right.
Yeah.
And it's a one thing I'm grateful for that I did from the onset.
Yeah.
Where I knew I don't want to be against the law.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to make sure I'm compliant.
Yeah.
All like through and through, And then now this year now I got into HR. Now I have a HR person now to help me now manage the team and manage people. Because it's not easy also, right? There are different personalities. There are just a lot of things that come to play now when you have people now working for you, and you have to know, you have to be compliant and know you're also treating them right and doing what's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And they're also following, the values of the business, so it has been building all of that slowly by slowly. Yeah. And so for me, from a business perspective, business has been good. It's been great putting myself out there.
Yeah.
Even when it's scary.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I can do it. Like, if I've been entrusted to handle such projects, from a project management perspective, I can also, be able to manage a full client.
Yeah.
No matter where they're coming from, international or local.
Yeah.
I have the expertise to do it.
Yeah.
So it's been fantastic, I have to say. Like, I mean, it's something I don't take for granted, knowing from where the journey began. And also with my love for Africa and really wanting to grow into other markets in Africa. And also getting myself out there to be in those African spaces, right? It's been it's interesting.
It's very interesting because I'm still going back to, you're doing what you are employed to do, and now you're doing it for international clients under your own brand.
Yeah.
And it goes back to this, and it's like you have a vision for Africa, you know where you want to go. I wonder, what would you tell the lady in 2018 who was wanting to start a business and didn't know what to do, what that meant? If you would tell her or give her nuggets of wisdom, what would be your nuggets of wisdom?
Wow.
In that conversation with your mother and sister.
You just took me back there, literally, as we had breakfast that morning. Oh my God, literally, like I can see the full picture. I think for me is, wow. If you really want to do something, first you have to believe in it yourself. Because it's your story, it's your life, it's your story, it's your vision, it's your passion. Believe in yourself first. And I know it's different for everyone, but for me, this was my formula.
It's your story.
It's my story, right?
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, be crazy to just go ahead and do it. Just be crazy enough to do it. And the other thing is just trust in God anyway.
Yeah.
No matter the season.
Yeah.
Trust in God anyway.
Yeah.
Because He knows your past, your present, and your future. He's the only one who knows. He's the only one who knows. Even this whole conversion and plugs. He knew about it before you guys formed it.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, like He did.
Yeah.
So you think He just came together and you did it? No.
Yeah.
You didn't. It was all it was all part of your story. It was all part of your journey. So believe in God anyway.
Yeah.
As you take that step, have faith anyway.
Yeah.
Just have that faith.
But you must take the step.
But you must take the step.
Yes.
And
So
be
take the
crazy
step
enough to
anyway.
still believe in it.
Exactly.
Even when it doesn't seem like
Even when
that.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So why do you get emotional around
I don't know. Like
2018? Because I know we talked about a very deeper story around a lot of people see people and you think people are just walking because they have it figured out or their life has been easy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you want to get into. Just around your emotional space, how you emerged on the other side of things that you were dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think. Oh, I don't even know how to start on that one.
Take your time.
I think. And I know this might sound cliche, but I feel like mental health became a bigger pandemic than COVID.
Oh.
Yeah, after COVID.
During COVID.
Yeah. And you tasted that a bit.
Girl.
You took a big chunk.
I took a big chunk of that.
Yeah.
And I say, even if there's still a lot of information out there, there's still a lot that people don't know about. Like a lot of people are in depression. They have no idea they're in depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one of my friends who we've been walking a journey with. And I can tell you the whole of last year, she was in deep depression, but she couldn't see it. But I could see it because I had walked that journey.
Oh.
Right? And the best I could do is just be there.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just need to be there.
Yeah.
And even though they don't see it, I'll be like, imagine I see it. And imagine you'll get to the other side.
Yeah.
But you have to allow yourself to get to the other side.
Yeah.
You have to allow it.
Yeah.
You have to believe you can get to the other side because it's a mental game. Like it's a mind over matter thing.
And there's no going back.
There's no going back. You can't allow yourself to go back. But all I'm saying is mental health is really, literally, actually, just this week, I buried a cousin.
Oh, no.
Who committed suicide.
I'm so sorry.
And he was 37, so he was literally like a year older than me.
Yeah.
But that story hit me so hard, like in a different perspective. And in a very private way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, because I know what it means to get to that point where you're like, you know what, I'm done.
Okay.
You know, like I'm done. And for me, I got to that point in 2021, May, when now by this time we are like 1.5 years into COVID.
Yeah.
And nothing is making sense. And there's no business. And I'm here homeschooling a child. And I'm still a single mom. And by this time now, my dad is sick.
Yeah.
So it's just stacking.
It's just stacking, you know. Like it's one thing after another, after another. Like nothing is making sense. And by this time, actually, the only thing that made sense for me was eating, sleeping, and cooking.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like for me, that was my comfort. Remember, I can't create event experiences, but I could create in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So that sort of became my comfort.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? And by this time, actually, part of my trauma that I'd carried on for so long that I had not realized was I had not cooked for almost 6 years by then. I had not been in the kitchen. And this was after now my separation, my initial separation with my daughter's father.
Okay.
And I didn't realize it was a trauma response until I think my sister brought it up one day. She was like, do you know that was actually a trauma response? Yeah. I had never stepped in a kitchen. I had never even made tea for that long until COVID. That it's the only thing that now I could do to bring some sort of sanity into my mind. My daughter could not believe I could cook. She was shook. She was like,
"You've been playing me for this
you've
long?
been playing me for this long? Like, you can actually throw it down?" And I started throwing down. And my family started having demands. They were like, "Can you make lasagna for us tonight? Can you make that grilled chicken and potatoes for us tonight? You know, can you make..." I made everything. Like, I experimented a lot. And it felt so amazing just doing that.
Yeah.
And so for me...
It's so funny where your healing comes from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It was the most amazing aha for me. I was like, wow, it was so healing in such a profound way. And even today, I know I don't cook as much, but I still, every time I have an opportunity, like I still throw down, you know.
But it's healed. It's a space now that's
exactly,
open.
exactly, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So I was talking about 2021, May of 2021, when nothing made sense, and at that point, I was, ready to just say, you know what, I'm done.
Goodbye, world.
Like, goodbye, world. Like, I've done my part. I think this is it. Let me transition to the next. Right?
Yeah.
And for me, that's when, again, despite all the other challenges, a few of the challenges that still were there, it was in that moment when it felt like that was the right thing to do. When God literally shows up in the most unexpected of ways and tells you, my friend, you're not done. Like, there's still so much ahead of you.
Yeah.
There's so much you're still yet to accomplish.
Yeah.
Your purpose is still not done in this world, And it was in that moment where you again start finding yourself and figuring out who you are. And for me, my way of doing that was journaling. I just started journaling my feelings.
We're a team of journalers here.
Yeah, like
That's cool.
I just started writing my feelings and my thoughts and my emotions each and every, like, without fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so healing.
So important.
Yeah.
It's so important. And by the way, all my friends, my girlfriends will testify. That's the one gift I always gift, a journal.
A journal.
It's a one gift that will never go to waste because I'm like, listen, write it. Write it down. Just write it. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, whatever you're experiencing, the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, today I still go through my journal and I'm like, oh my God, this is where I was.
Those were dark times.
This is where I am.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at that journey and I'm like, wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're still here.
Yeah.
So that's
right. I'm also glad I'm still I'm glad I'm still here myself. I still look back. I'm like, I could have missed all this. Like, God had all this planned for me.
And more is coming.
And more is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
there's a bigger purpose.
But feels like that was a turning point in your life.
Absolutely.
I mean, a big one as well.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here today.
Absolutely.
I just want to talk about your agenda for Africa. And I know, do you have help? Are you getting help for your business? What are you doing around your business to grow it, to make sure that you're putting your processes, your models together? Where you're getting help from? Are you thinking about setting up a board? I know your business is young, and I'm actually looking forward to just following. But your story was amazing because, I mean, if you guys want to go, you can go to her website at Experia and just look at her list of clients. You'll actually be amazed in terms of who she's serving. I think we can mention them. People like Mastercard
Foundation, Roche Diagnostics.
Yeah.
DHL.
Yeah, you have
Brookside.
quite an array of really big clients as well. So what are you doing for yourself, for your business, for your people in your business to grow it, to make sure that you take it to the next level?
Yeah.
What's that looking like?
That felt like a very deep sigh.
Oh, yeah.
It just came from this business. Yes.
Wow. So I feel like I've been setting different goals each and every year.
Yeah.
Because I like being very realistic.
Yeah.
So for instance, 2022, my goal was to get back in the game, right? 2023, my goal was to now start growing the business.
Hit revenue targets.
And have a team.
Yeah.
right? That was my goal for 2023,
Yeah.
which absolutely I achieved it.
Yeah.
And for me, 2024, my goal has been to grow myself as a leader, because I don't even know what that looks like,
Yeah.
apart from what I've seen and what I've watched.
Mm.
But it's been for me to get into that leadership space, know what it means to lead people,
Yeah.
to lead a team, to lead a society, a community, whatever it is. What does that leadership, what does that look like?
Yeah.
So I've been throwing myself a lot into those spaces, the leadership spaces, be it conferences, be it leadership summits.
Yeah.
And I also got privileged to get into the AWEC program.
AWEC?
Yes.
What's
the
AWEC?
Africa Women Entrepreneurship Cooperative.
Okay.
So it's a women's program that runs every year.
Yep.
And they have a cohort of 200 African women from different parts of Africa every year.
Okay.
So this year, 3,400 African women entrepreneurs applied from different parts of Africa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And only 200 are selected.
Sure. Well done.
Well
right?
done. Hey.
Yeah. And every time I commend my friend, my very good friend Rosemary is the one who pushed me. She was in cohort 5.
Yeah.
And I was in cohort 7.
Mm.
Yeah.
And she, since she did it, she's like, Maria, you have to do this. You have to do this program. You have to do it. Last year she tried. I'm like, Rosemary, Aki, that's on my goal for this year. I'm not in that space. I can't. And she allowed me to be. This year, again, the application came out. She told me, Maria, I'm coming to your house. We'll sit down.
Apply.
And apply.
That's a real sponsor.
Proper.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, she literally came and sat with me the whole one full evening, afternoon.
Yeah.
And we applied the full application process. And 2 months later, it literally takes 2 months because they have to go through all these applications.
Yeah.
And 2 months later,
Maria is in.
I was in.
Yeah,
well done.
fantastic.
Congratulations.
And by the time
all
actually I received this email again, as things always add up,
I
happened to be in Uganda.
Oh,
for my dad's memorial. We had gone for my dad's memorial with my family.
It's like your dad is always...
I'm telling you.
yeah. And
like,
one day also has a similar story.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like
Yeah.
I watched her story and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so... There's so many relations like with her story.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've been in the AWEC program. We started in July.
Yeah.
We're now just about to finish the first quarter. It's been intense, but the most rewarding experience from a learning perspective.
Yeah.
And even one of my mentor is an Eritrean lady based in New York.
Yeah.
And we're having a chat. So we have like weekly or bi-weekly chats.
Yeah.
And she told me, she's like, listen, this is like going through a master's program.
Yeah.
Like in a year. And for free. It was actually free. You don't pay for anything. But you get the best of the best in the industry. And they take you through all this entrepreneurship, you know.
So you're with women across the continent.
Across the continent.
Doing different businesses.
Some are
so your
in
networks
agri.
expand,
Your networks are expanding. You're meeting people from Namibia, Cameroon, Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal. Like, where would I have met all these women?
Yeah.
If it was not in this space.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm also seeing myself, you know, getting into this space, into the African market.
Correct.
Through those networks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wago.
I'm just in awe of your journey. Insanity and faith honestly have the same description.
Yeah.
Because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
And faith is believing in something that is just not seen.
Absolutely.
And that's been your compass. And I feel like it's guided you till here.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see what is coming next. There's just the picture keeps unfolding.
Absolutely.
Because you keep showing up excellently.
Yeah.
And that's that's it.
Yeah.
But Maria, I find it, and maybe we're going to take this. I hear you guys sometimes say that, especially when you start, that God sends you helpers.
Yeah.
Who else? Sponsors. Like, it just seems like when you step into, and it's so funny because even I think happened to the same podcast as well. You just start.
Yeah.
And nothing can be rewarded without progress or movement.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to take the step.
Like, I mean, when I look at your story, I can just see sponsors, I see helpers, I see like everything coming to you
Absolutely.
because you're in there doing the work.
You're
Exactly.
in the
Yeah.
arena.
Yeah.
You're in the arena.
You're in the arena.
And sometimes you just
Absolutely.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the arena is not sexy.
No, it's not. Not at all.
Yeah.
It's tough,
Yeah.
you know? But I think that's the other thing I always say this and I tell everyone, and I say it unapologetically, like I've worked hard to get to even this point.
Yeah.
It's not even it yet,
No.
but I've worked hard to get here.
Yeah.
It's not that I've had a godfather.
Yeah.
You know, people expect that because you're a woman, you have godfathers who are
Mm.
opening doors for you.
Yeah.
I've just had the Father in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of them,
Yeah.
I believe.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
Both
beautiful.
opening those doors.
But excellence, hard work.
But excellence,
True
hard
enough.
work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
still to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to put in the work.
Yeah. And I think we can't wait to see and hopefully we must keep having you back. And
Please.
I think for Experia is just watching what you're doing.
Yeah.
We wish you growth
Thank you.
and continued expansion.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this has been cool.
Thank you.
So
been-
even as we end,
Yeah.
what would you tell your 25-year-old,
Mm.
your 30-year-old? What would you tell that girl who years ago? Even as we end.
Hey, you've touched at 25. 25 is when I got pregnant with my daughter.
Oh wow!
Wait, Cliff.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, did you have to be
I was trying to
25?
be
But okay.
philosophical or
But no,
It's
but thank
open,
you
yeah.
for reminding me that I need to see myself then as well.
yeah,
Right? Because we
Mm.
forget to see ourselves
yeah,
then.
yeah,
Because now my daughter just turned 11 this month,
yeah,
literally.
yeah.
And I still remember just reminiscing about it. And I'm like, I've been a mother for 11 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a small feat.
No.
Without knowing what you're even doing. And you're right in the mud. And
It's not child's play.
it's not child's play, right?
Yeah.
So I was such a young child, for lack of a better word, because
yeah.
I was literally 25. What do you know at 25?
Yeah,
Right? But I would actually want to tell my 25-year-old that trust God anyway.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like trust God anyway, because even then, He's all I had.
yeah,
So trust God anyway, because there's still a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's still a better tomorrow.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. This has been an absolute treat, Maria.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. We can't wait to have you back again.
Thank you. I'll be
yeah.
happy to be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. So, for guys out there, please subscribe, like. It helps grow the channel. At least gives you updates. So interact with us. By the way, go to the comments, ask us questions. We will, even for our guests as well, we will relate them to you. And just look out for what we're doing, and we are grateful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. The end.